It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
The Mixed Martial Arts Hour is back in your life on this Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. I got it right. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. It is great to be back in this chair with all of you. Some 20 hours since we said goodbye yesterday, Monday evening. Of course, it's a special Choo Choo Tuesday edition of the program. And oh my, do we have a lot to discuss. Different kind of show. In fact, the MMA Hour / Helwani Show historians will tell you that we've only done this 3 times before in the past, and we've only done it with one guest, one person in particular. First time we did it was back in 2016 with Nathan Diaz after the first Conor McGregor fight. Second time we did it was in May of 2017 with Nathan Diaz after the second Conor McGregor fight and going into International Fight Week. Third time we did it was back in July of this year with Nathan Diaz, once again right before the whole Khamzat fight booking thing went down. And so we've done it 3 times before just with one person. Today we get to add another name to that list, and pretty amazing. Isn't it ironic, as the great Alanis Morissette once said, that it's Francis Ngannou, le prédateur, the pride of Cameroon, along with Nathan Diaz in the history books, considering their spot in the sport, considering their power, considering their leverage, considering their status. It's a pretty incredible thing. The stars are aligning for all of us. As always, we are presented by our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are the official sports betting partner of this program. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook on your little phone or your device or your laptop or your PC. And when you sign up, put in the code, the MMA Hour. That lets them know we sent you. We appreciate it very much. Why are we here? We are here because the most talked about man in the sport right this second is Francis Ngannou. He, as of Saturday, was the reigning defending UFC heavyweight champion, the baddest man on the planet. He beat Stipe Miocic to win that title in March of 2021. He successfully defended the title in January of 2022 against Ciryl Gane in a fight which he was down 2 rounds to none, injured, knee and all, gutted it out, won via decision, and that was the last fight on his contract. We've never seen a situation like this before. A champion, especially the heavyweight champion, fighting out his deal. Past year, surgery, recovery. We were all wondering what would happen. December, his contract expires. It expires. And there's a 1-year matching period, but he was a free man to go out there and solicit offers. This past Saturday, just a few days ago in Las Vegas, Dana White, at a press conference following the first UFC event of 2023, announced that they are booking a fight between John Jones at heavyweight, his heavyweight debut against Ciryl Gane for the vacant heavyweight title, meaning they are stripping Francis Ngannou of the belt. He is no longer the champion. They are moving on. And they also said verbally that they are waiving any matching rights. He could sign with someone if he wants today. Dana White had to say, we spoke about, the inaccuracies of what he said yesterday on the program. It's up on the YouTube channel, hour-long segment. Enjoy it after this. But everyone wants to hear from the man himself. You don't want to hear from me. You don't want to hear from Dana. You don't want to hear from anyone else but Francis Ngannou. He's a busy man. He's flying all over the world, but he is back home, at least for this moment, in Cameroon, where this all started, this journey all started for him, this amazing life of his all started. And he is kind enough to come on the program to break his silence and talk about everything that has transpired, his future, and so much more. Without further ado, let us say hello to le prédateur, Francis Ngannou. Francis, my man, how are you? I clap for you, my friend.
I'm doing good, Ariel. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that, bro.
Francis,
I'm doing really good.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for the time. I must say, I know that
Always a pleasure.
you're being hit up by everyone, and I'm sure you could have gone in a million different directions. Thank you for coming on the show. It means a lot to me. I really, really, really do appreciate it. I want to ask you that question that I just asked at the very top there. How are you, Francis? This is a crazy time, a very hectic time. How are you doing on this Tuesday afternoon?
Listen, I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. You know, nothing strange. I mean, at some point, I feel even though, I mean, this situation, when it happens, you know that it can happen at some point. In the past 3 years, I knew it could happen at some point. But when it happens, you know, you have like this feeling like, okay, so this is it, you know. But overall, you know, I'm like, I'm good, you know. I have no stress, feel very good about it, you know, even very happy. And I knew that I did everything right. I don't have any regret. I wouldn't do anything different if I have to do it again. I will do the same thing. So I'm very happy. I'm very satisfied. And in the other hand, this is a sport. This is business. I have my personal life. I'm in Cameroon. I'm with my family. And at the end of the day, this what matter. You know, like I have my balance in life. I'm doing good. So
Okay.
don't you worry about me.
I'm very, very happy to hear that. And I have a million questions to ask you, but I wanted to know how you were doing off the top. Could I then ask, did you know that all this would come out on Saturday? Did you get a heads up? Did you have any idea, or did you wake up? Because I think you were somewhere outside of America when this broke. Like, did you just wake up Sunday morning to all this news?
No, I was in Turkey. Then I saw that I saw those clips when it started, and I knew already what was happening. I know that that's how they operate. I know the strategy, you know. So I'm like, I'm not losing my sleep out of this. I went to sleep, and then I wake up in the morning, and everything was all over, and my phone was blowing up. I'm like, guys, leave me alone. Like life keep life keep going on. The sun rises this morning. It's beautiful. Life is good. All this it doesn't matter that much, you know.
Okay. So you weren't necessarily blindsided. That is good. When was the last time, Francis, that you spoke to the UFC? In other words, was there a moment where you guys spoke and then it was like, all right, we can't come to a deal. We're going in a different direction. We're waving. Like, did they tell you all of this beforehand, or did you learn new things in this press conference?
Um, I mean, I guess because the last time was Tuesday, last Tuesday.
Okay. A
They
week
said
ago.
they have to, yes, they have to make a fight March 4th. They have to announce that fight. So they say, let's try one more time, get in the phone. And I couldn't say yes about something. There wasn't a way that I would have just let him by. It was just a matter of principle. And at that time, I knew that, okay, this is it. They didn't say it on the phone. They didn't say, okay, this is what's gonna happen. But I knew how they do. You know, it's like bulldog. So I knew they were coming. Like if I had something, um, you know, you know the battle, the war is on. They are coming after you, and but and the next 2 days I was thinking about it, and then was like, okay, did I do something wrong? Should I call back? Should this? Then I'm like, no way, I didn't do anything wrong. It's just about principle, and doesn't matter what happened. I stick with this principle. I'm good at the end of the day.
And for the record, in these conversations, like the one this past Tuesday, is it just you and someone at the UFC speaking? Are there multiple people on the call? Who's involved in these discussions?
It was me, Hunter Campbell, and Mick Miner.
Okay, so it's the three of you, and
And
you have no one representing you. You're doing this on your own.
yes, but for some reason, I don't know why, I feel like Dana White was in the room with Hunter. I had that feeling. He was in the room. He was sitting somewhere there, listening to those conversations.
Really, you felt that? You felt his presence?
Yeah, because he was like, "Okay, this is it. Like, let's knock this out," and it didn't work out, unfortunately.
How close did it get to working out? Like, were you very close in your mind?
Uh, it's a very tough way to say it. I really hope for this to work out. I really wish that we could find a way to work out. I've been in the UFC in the past 7 years, and I always see myself in the UFC. I never really like envisioned myself out of the UFC. And when it comes to this point, because at first all this was just a matter of principle. It wasn't even an idea of leaving UFC or this. It was just like, okay, it's a principle. I need this. We have to do things right. Then it take on other dimension. Um, so I don't know exactly what was it, but with time, I think that kind of like I was willing to compromise over and over and over and over. And I get to the point that I'm like, okay, I understand that I do want this, but guys, give me a break. Like, give me something, you know. And I'm not asking for a sky. I have heard talking about money. Obviously, money is a part of it, but it wasn't all about money. Um, I need some stuff, and they will never talk about those stuff. It's very interesting how they kind of like pick what they're going to talk about. They don't talk about what the negotiation was about. They just talk about the money that they give me that could have made me the biggest paid heavyweight in the history, which is how much they can't tell. Biggest than who? Nobody knows nobody gets. So it's all their narrative. They control that narrative, which cannot be proven. So I don't believe that. But I wish it could have worked. I really do, and I really want it,
A few follow-ups to
but
that.
not at any cost.
Do you believe that the deal that they were offering you, just money alone, do you believe it truly would have made you the highest paid heavyweight?
I don't know, since I don't know what other heavyweight made.
Okay.
In order to know that, I have to know what the other heavyweight made as a salary. But I don't know.
What I had heard through the grapevine is that Brock made around 8 million for 200. Is it above that or less than that?
Hmm, for the John fight, around that,
Okay. So was this a multi-fight deal that they were offering you or just a one-fight deal?
mortified you.
And how many fights?
I asked for 3 fights. They say they will give that exceptionally for me. I asked for 3 fights.
Okay. And so
No extension. No extension.
just 3 fights. Did you have the fights in your mind? Like, who were the 3 guys that you wanted?
Well, one was John Jones, two was Stipe. Hopefully, John Jones again. I, out of that 3 fight, I hope that two was John Jones.
Okay, I understand. Now, you mentioned the things that they don't talk about. You mentioned the things that you just couldn't, let go on principle. And I've had a lot of people ask me, like, what exactly are these things that he is referring to? Do you feel comfortable telling us what these things were, the sticking points, the true sticking points that you were fighting for that they didn't want to give up?
Well, it was a lot of them. Like what I have learned is that you don't go in the table of a negotiation expecting to have everything that you want, but at least you want your partner, you want the other side to like show a willingness or at least try. So I asked for a lot of things, which doesn't mean I was expecting all those things, but I was expect at least like a few or one, two out of those things. You know, first I asked for a sponsorship, a right of a sponsorship, which we've been ripped off. We can't have sponsorship. I have for health insurance, couldn't have. I asked for a fighter advocate, somebody in the board meeting who will advocate for a fighter. I asked for that. I couldn't have those stuff that I asked for,
Hmm.
you know. But I just wanted to know that there is something that I do want, and I also want them to take that at least in consideration, you know.
Did they consider any of those things? Any of those kind of off the beaten path?
No,
None of them.
no.
Not a single one.
Oh, no. They say no, they don't do business like that. They say, yes, I can pay my health insurance and all that. I'm like, yes, I can pay my health insurance. At this point, health insurance for me is not a problem, but how about those guys that still at the bottom make 10 plus 10 or lost a fight, make 10? They can really afford that health insurance, you know. And I have been there, so it's something that still I still carry in my heart.
So to be clear, were you asking for these things not only for you, but for everyone?
Yeah, I do ask that for everyone.
You wanted everyone to get...
I knew it couldn't happen, but
Right.
I asked.
Yeah.
I asked, yes.
So ultimately, the money, would you say you were okay with the money? It was just all these other things that you didn't like.
Listen, even the money wasn't that okay, like, and I said this before. I said, like, I'm okay of structuring a deal. It's not just money is not what you get right away. You can get a long-term money. You can get a long-term value out of a deal, which is more than money, you know. So, and I said this last time when Mick reached out because I couldn't come to an agreement with Hunter. I said it's not all about money. We can structure this. You guys can give me something, then we consider like I consider it more than money. You can give me an event in Africa. This is something that I asked. I say you can give me an event in Africa that have a lot of value for me than the money. I'm willing to put water in my wine. If you give me something like that, those were the things that I asked for.
And they said no.
Oh no, they couldn't consider.
So basically, what they were offering you was
the only thing that they kind of like. And at some point, I feel like I was slapped in the face with money. Like, okay, take the money and shut up. Like, and that didn't work pretty good.
Okay. And right now I'm seeing a picture of you. Your video is frozen, but I still hear you. So we'll just keep talking, and hopefully the video comes back. Would you say, though, that they were just trying to offer you a regular UFC deal, meaning a really good UFC deal based on what other UFC fighters get, but there was nothing extra attached to it? There were no concessions being made. They were just offering you a lot of money to take this fight with no extra concessions that you were looking for. Is that an accurate description?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Which I went from wanting all these things to find myself in that position that we're gonna be talking like, oh, you're gonna be having good pay, like almost like Adesanya, John Jones. They were taking all those examples. Then I'm like, I don't want those conventional deal. Like first of all, I don't want that contract. The way that is structured, I don't want it. Doesn't matter what is in that contract or how much is in that contract. I'm not taking that contract, first of all, because in that contract, I'm not free. In that contract, I'm not independent contractor. In that contract, I have no right, I have no power. I hand over all the power to you guys, and I have seen in the past how you can utilize your power on me, and I don't want that to happen again.
So you have a situation here where Dana White comes out and says what he says at the press conference. Have you watched the press conference yet?
Yes, I watched a part of it, and at some point I stopped watching. I'm like, bullshit.
How did you feel about the way he said that they were parting ways, the things that he insinuated, essentially saying, you want to fight lesser opponents for more money. You're comfortable now. You're over 300 pounds. He saw you, this and that. I mean, to me, it felt like a lot of, and I said this yesterday, I'm not just saying this because you're sitting in front of me. It felt like he was trying to weaken you, disparage you on the way out. How did you feel when you were hearing those things?
Dana is Dana. I don't care about what he said, and Dana cannot hurt me. Like saying things cannot hurt me. From where I come from, I have heard a lot worse than that, and I'm serious. So what he said It's what he said. It's his problem. What I know is that I'm here and I have a good future. And I think what he was expressing was his frustration because no, doesn't matter what he said, regardless, he's upset. He's not happy about the situation. He saw his champion go away, which is something that probably never happened to him. Matter of fact, 2 years ago, they were betting on that. Like, okay, you think you're gonna leave the UFC? That's never happened. Go ask Randy Couture. Then I'll go ask Randy Couture exactly what happened. He explained to me. Then I'm like, okay, this is the different situation.
Wow, they said that to you? Go ask Randy Couture?
Yeah.
Wow.
They said that to my care. No, they said that to my care.
To your manager,
Who
yeah.
was my manager at the time. Yeah.
Wow. Which, that got ugly with lawyers and legal stuff. That got very ugly. One thing that he said that kind of stuck with me is like, okay, you're looking for the easier fights for more money. Now, we've always sort of hypothesized that you want to try boxing. We saw you with Tyson Fury. We know that your initial dream was to be a boxer. In this negotiation, was boxing a part of it? Did you want a sort of a clause in there carved out that you can go and box during those 3 fights?
They didn't want anything to do with boxing. There was like if and only if in good faith and this. I'm like, I'm not betting on that. Let's get a 3-fight deal. If I can knock out a 3-fight deal in 1 year, if I'm not hurt, if I'm healthy, and then after that I can go do my boxing, whatever I want. And if during this time you guys find an interest in like doing boxing together, then we do it. But I just want to owe you 3 fights and deliver that 3 fight and set free from our contract.
So you were willing to put the boxing idea on hold, do the 3 fights uninterrupted, and then revisit the boxing idea. You weren't necessarily saying, I need to do boxing in the middle of these 3 fights.
3 fights would be maximum 15 months.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Okay.
So that's not a big deal.
Do you still want to box?
Of course, I still want to box. And and one of the reasons why, one thing that I think about when I heard this interview, like, okay, so maybe Tyson Fury is a lesser of opponent for Dana White, because I don't know what exactly he's talking about, but
yes,
yeah,
one would say that that's a bigger challenge, and that you would be an underdog in that fight, a massive underdog. So that would seem to be a bigger risk, if you will. So he said no one's doing boxing over here, so clearly that was another one of those sticking points. Is it fair to say now that you are, and by the way, when they say they're waiving the matching period, let's just be clear about this. My understanding was your contract expired in mid-December, right? You had your last fight in January, but the contract expires in mid-December, and then there's a year matching period tacked on to that afterwards. Is that accurate?
I don't know if, yes, I think so. I don't know if the matching period tacked in after the sunset, because 5 years was a sunset. My contract originally wasn't a 5 years contract. My contract was a 40-month contract. Then after that 40 months, I assume like days when the matching period kick off or something. But I can't say this with a certitude. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't study that part of a contract, so I can't know. But I will assume that the reason why he said that was maybe because he know that he couldn't match what I was going to get. Because what I was going to get, it wasn't just about money, and he couldn't match that.
Right. That's what
he can match any money, but he couldn't match what I want.
That's why I thought it was incredible spin, because if you come to them with a boxing contract or any type of contract that gives you X amount of freedom and all these other concessions, there's no way they can match that. But to say, hey, we released him, again, feels like they were trying to disparage you.
No, nobody releases me. Nobody releases me. I've been free since December, I think December 9th or 13th. But the only reason why I didn't went public, because, in respect of our conversation, we were still having conversations. So I didn't want to I want to respect that and not talk about it. But I've been free agent since because I have my contract with me, and the 5 years mark was in December.
Between December and now, did you bring any offers to them that they even looked at to see if they can match it, or did you not talk to anyone else?
No, I didn't talk to anyone else, as I said, because we were talking, and I respect that. I didn't. People didn't even know that I was free already, because we were having this conversation, and I was like, okay, since we're having a conversation in good for me in good faith, I don't want to flex this out to show this out. But I was free, so
Okay.
nobody releases me. I think it's just a way for them. I think it's hard to them to admit that I set free regardless.
Do you believe them that they are going to waive their matching period? Have they told you this in writing? Do you believe that they will actually stay true to this?
I don't care. They can match if they want,
Or try to match?
or trying to match.
Right. So, but like, I'm just wondering contractually, like, let's say today I'm a promoter and I give you this incredible deal. Do you still have to bring it to them, or is all that good? Like, are you truly not bound to bring anything to them and sign with someone today?
Well, I think he said that publicly, which means because he didn't say anything to me though. They didn't say anything to me. I received an email from them with something attached. I haven't even opened that email yet. Yesterday, so
Oh, wow.
I haven't. Yeah,
Why haven't you opened it?
but hmm, what do you think is gonna be? But I read the message. I read the email,
Yeah.
just the file. I download the file, and while it was downloading, I move on to something and haven't read it.
Okay. Since his press conference,
So
anyone from the UFC reach out to you?
yes, Mick Manor reached out. He texted me. He said he he wished that we had a agreement, and then but wish me a best of luck. He said he was an honor working with me, and very nice message. Mick is a real guy. He's a real guy. Even in the negotiation, he was there. He's doing his job. You know the guy is doing his job, but he's a good guy.
Mm. And what about Hunter? Did Hunter Campbell reach out to you?
No, no.
And I feel like I know the answer to this question, but Dana White?
First of all, you have to know that Dana and I we don't speak. Last time that I texted Dana was like maybe 2 years ago. I never had a reply, so we don't communicate.
What was the text
There is
about?
not a communication. Uh, I don't know. I think it was just after the Stipe fight or something. Yes,
And no
I still
reply.
I still have the text. No reply.
What
So
about face to face? When's the last time you spoke to him?
we crossed path at the PI. I think even in December. Yes, early December. Yes, we crossed path at the PI cafe and just say hi and other stuff. That's
Okay.
all what we do when we meet.
I want to get back to Dana in a moment, but just want to clarify one thing. I'd heard that they reached out to you to fight on December 10th, perhaps like right as your contract was expiring, to get one more in to do the John Jones fight, but you weren't ready, or there wasn't enough. Is there any truth to that?
No, they didn't reach out to me. And also on December 10th, they knew like I wasn't. The doctor gave me 10 months after my surgery, and they've been following up because they've been following up with the PI for my knee rehab. So they knew I couldn't be ready for uh, December 10th. They didn't even offer that.
Okay. How is your knee?
My knee is good. My knee is getting, it's pretty good. I've been in the gym in the past 2 months, and I feel pretty good about it. And keep improving. He's a lot better. Almost there.
Could you have, like, if everything worked out, could you have fought on March 4th with the state of your knee, or was that a little soon? Like, health-wise, are you okay for March 4th?
Bro, I fought with this knee when he was without two ligaments.
Okay.
And it's been almost 4 months that the doctor said my ligament are all in place. I just need some rehab, and March 4th is still, almost 2 months away, that my knee would have been just stronger again. I've been in the gym, I spar, I wrestle, I kick, I do everything with my knee. I feel good about it. So that's not a problem.
Okay. I'm happy to hear that. So you could have fought, the knee is okay. That wasn't an issue. I heard him say, like, it almost felt like a throwaway comment, but it was like, oh, he's over 300 pounds, like almost implying that you were out of shape and whatnot. I've seen your Road to Recovery vlogs on your Francis Ngannou YouTube channel. Much respect. It seems like you're training. It seems like you're doing wrestling and all that stuff. Like, you're not sitting on the couch right now.
After Madison Square Garden, I went back to the gym, like start training for real. First of all, I never get to 300 pounds, even at my highest weight. So I don't know where he took those information. Only him knows, And as for now, I'm 275, 277, which is even lighter when I started training camp most of the time, because I still train. I keep training. Even like I'm here, I train, I run a lot. I work on the cardio. So, but we all know that that's not the problem. Dana problem is Dana problem. It doesn't have anything to do with the reality.
Okay, so let us talk about that if we can. Yesterday, I played a clip of him speaking about you from July of 2018 after the Derek Lewis fight, saying that your ego has gotten out of control and you're kind of a problem to deal with backstage. That, to me, sort of felt like the beginning of your issues, at least publicly. There's a story about, I think that he said one time about seeing you right before the first Stipe fight and claiming that you said, get the jet ready for me. But then I saw in your video blog that the problem started, like they tried to sign you around the Junior Dos Santos fight, which is a little bit before that. So could we go to the beginning? Like, when do you feel like things between you and Dana started to dissolve?
He was before the Stipe fight, because I negotiated the contract before. My last contract was negotiated at that moment. And it took me almost 3 years to figure out what was the problem. But I think the problem was because during all this negotiation, I said something to Dana White, and this was by completely mistake. I didn't even know what I meant at that time, but I think like he felt attacked, he felt threatened by that when I said, doesn't matter, we can make a deal for this fight. We just focus on the Stipe fight, because I was making that deal like 6 weeks before the fight, and they were pushing me, and I didn't even have time to find a manager. Then I'm like, okay, I will do it on my own. And then sitting there with him, I'm like, let's just focus on this one. We can negotiate even after every fight. I think that was the thing that I said to Dana. And you shouldn't say something like that to somebody like Dana White.
Why do you think that would have bothered him so much?
Well, the whole business is based on the contract. How many people is tied in the contract? The most fight you have in the contract, that's how the big business is. If the business doesn't have anybody, if they don't have anybody on the contract, what is the value of the business?
Mm.
No.
So based on that comment, you feel like his interpretation was that your ego is out of control just because you said, let's just focus on this fight and go one fight at a time. That was what led him to say what he said at that press conference in July of 2018?
Yes, and at that time I didn't know. I was still ignorant about it. I didn't know what happened. Then, with time goes by, I have some information that I talk with them, with Hunter. They tell me how Dana is mad about me and why he's mad, and what he said. Then after some certain period of time, I collect all the information, and that was the only thing that could have been the cause. Because I tried it for the next 2 years. I tried to figure out like what really happened. I felt really bad. Like, okay, I mistaken somewhere. I did something wrong. I tried to find out. We even have him asked for a meeting to go meet Dana at his office with Michael and trying to clear the air, like ask what happened, this, and he never said exactly what happened.
Mm.
I was busting my head for nothing until I find out what exactly was it.
Is it true that you said to him, get the jet ready before the first Stipe fight?
Well, the first time that I met Dana was in Denver when I fought Arlovsky.
Okay.
And then I couldn't even speak French, English properly. But I said I tried to say to Dana like, okay, when I get the belt, I had like to go in France in the private jet, you know. And he said, "You get it, my man." At that time Dana was all Francis, and he said, "You get it." So when I was going to fight Stipe, you know, I think in the fight week I saw him, but he was already pissed. I didn't know that, but he was already pissed. Then I say, get jet ready, my man, which is like what we spoke about. It was a promise, right? So when you say that jet ready, the jet that we spoke about, you know, I don't see any ego in that. That couldn't be a problem. That wasn't a problem. That was the excuse.
Okay. And recently, like in the last year, I'd also heard that you had dinner with him. Like I think maybe you saw each other at a restaurant. Even when you had dinner, like in a casual setting, did you guys ever, or did you have an opportunity to just like be like, hey man, like can we start over? Can we clear the air? Why does it seem like we're not on this? Like, did any of that come up? And is that dinner a real thing? Did that happen?
you know the only dinner that I had with Dana was when we have after the Syrian gun fight,
Yeah.
when he didn't come to the press conference.
Yeah.
Yes, then they reached out to Eric, trying to figure out invite for a dinner. Yes, that's the only time that I had dinner with Dana. And
And
they was trying to tell me that they want me to be there, they want me to stay in the USA. And I said to them, like, I want to stay in the USA. I want to be in the USA, but I don't feel like the USA want me anymore. It's been a long time that I don't have a promoter. I'm in the promotion, but I don't have a promoter, you know. And I've been feeling that in the past 3 or 4 years.
hmm.
I don't have a promoter.
uh, as of right now, you also don't have a manager, it seems. Why have you chosen to do this on your own? You were with Markel Martin, who, by all accounts, had your back and fought for you, maybe at the risk of
It
his own
still
career.
does.
He still does, yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong. He's not technically your manager. Like you're the one doing all this stuff. Why are you attempting to do this by yourself? And I don't mean I know you have people behind you, but like manager type of role, trying to negotiate these deals for you.
Well, after CAA dissolved um, the combat sport department, and we kind of like spread
Mm.
everywhere. And I wanted to take time to collect my stuff, and that's you know I've been looking. I want a manager, and the environment right now, the situation right now is really complicated. And even my care after the CAA, my care wasn't stable. You
Hmm.
know, like even at CAA, he was getting attacked.
Even at CAA.
So even at CAA, so no, I say even when he was at CAA, people were still like trying to come after him. No,
Right. Okay.
even though like he has CAA as a shield to protect him. But after the CAA, I think, and I tell him like take time to collect himself, because we are in the business that you are not, people don't like you when you do your job.
Mm.
At some point you just have to kiss the ring in order to do your business properly. And that was one of the reasons with my career. But we are still together, we still work together. We are just looking of a structure, of a way to maximize and don't get attacked.
Mm. Do you feel like you were a casualty of the relationship or lack thereof between Endeavor and CAA? They are rivals. And perhaps if you were represented by someone else, is there any part of you that thinks this might have been an easier process if you were not a CAA guy?
The CAA has nothing to do about it.
Okay. I understand a lot of people have... Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand a lot of people. Like I had heard from a lot of people, just being 100% blunt. We're being blunt with each other here, Francis. We're telling it like it is.
Yes.
You have a very good relationship with Kamaru Usman, and he has a relationship with Ali Abdelaziz, who's a manager, who has a very cozy relationship with UFC, to put it mildly, that he has tried to, get you on board to make a deal with the UFC. And, he tried to go in there and say, like, I can get you a deal. I can get something done, and, come sign with me and let's do business. Is that something that you considered?
Well, a lot of people does that. I'm friend with Ali. We have a very good relationship, by the way. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. No, I said we have a very good relationship, but as for now, we just stay on like a friendship. We don't get into a business.
That's fair. Do you feel as though you need a manager to make this next decision, or do you think you can do it on your own, like representing yourself, basically taking these calls, making the deals? Do you feel like you can do it on your own? Do you understand enough now about the fight business? You said you've learned a lot to do this on your own.
I can do it.
Nice.
I know what I want. That's enough.
So what do you want? Could you tell the world, Francis? There's a lot of people watching now. What does Francis Ngannou want? What would make you happy?
Oh, I'm happy though. It's not like I'm unhappy.
Sure.
I'm happy. I'm in peace with my choice, with my decision, with whatever I have done. I'm happy. But I think I just need some respect, more respect at least. It's very important. Yeah. And yeah, I need some respect, some dignity. I need some freedom. I need to feel like a man, own my freedom, control my destiny, decide what I'm going to do. I don't want anybody to decide for me. I think I'm man enough. I've been decide for my own. And so far, I think I haven't been doing a bad job at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go with.
You climbed the mountaintop as far as MMA is concerned. You became the UFC heavyweight champion. There's no bigger prize than that. Do you want to box next? Is that your hope? Is that your dream to scratch that boxing itch?
Well, somebody said the top of another mountain is the bottom of another one.
Right. Yes, that is true.
Yeah. So yes, I still want to do something. I want to achieve something in boxing and stay in MMA. I feel like I still have a lot to express, a lot to give to the sport of MMA. I discovered MMA later in my life, and I feel like I still have some mileage to give in the sport.
So the original dream was boxing, though, right? Like that was what led you.
Yes.
That's what you wanted, right? So in a perfect world, you box, but you also compete in MMA, and that's part of the freedom. Is that fair?
Yes. In the perfect world, I go out there, get some boxing match, come back, get some MMA, maybe switch again. I don't know. It depends what will be the challenge out there. I think if I have an opportunity to fight all those top guys in boxing, I would take it.
Has anyone since Saturday of note, promoters, promotions, reached out to you?
Yeah, a lot of people reached out.
A lot. Is it overwhelming?
Uh, I can control it. I can control it. I don't have a pressure now. It's not like I have to give a response now, but I can control everything.
Okay. And are these MMA
Take time.
promotions and boxing promotions?
Mostly MMA promotion.
Okay. Interesting.
And I have also heard over social media of their interest, you know.
So how are you going to navigate this? What is the game plan now?
The game plan, where go somewhere that respect
Right. But are
that
you fielding offers? Are
I
you
have some
telling
respect.
everyone like, okay, I'm giving you a window by February 1st. I need your offer. I need to see what you're talking. Like, it's like the world is your oyster here. It's a crazy thing. It's like LeBron James circa 2010. You can do whatever you want.
Well, it's been only 2 days, and
Right.
I don't have to get overwhelmed. Like sometimes I just turn off my phone, sit down and chill. Nothing, nothing would be. Everything can wait, you know, and you can deal with everything over time. Like in 1 week, doesn't matter what happened, you can deal with all those. So it doesn't need to be the same day.
Okay. By the way, in April, which was the last time we had you on the show, I'm watching Tyson Fury fight. And then all of a sudden, you're in the ring with Tyson Fury, and he tells the world, we want to make this happen. Like, it was unbelievable scenes. And then it just feels like that whole thing kind of went away. What happened? Why didn't the Fury fight materialize?
I don't know. I think he's retired, come back, want to fight Usyk and all those stuff. I don't know where he's at right now, but I'm gonna find out.
You're going to find.
Is a time? Yes, is a time before besides those social media, those teas couldn't do anything concrete, but now we can engage the talk, do everything. So it's time
And every
to
time he
really
talks
figure that out.
every time he talks about you as a boxer, he says like, "Oh, let's do a special fight with the gloves." But my feeling is you want to have a real boxing match with him. Like you want to beat him in boxing, like it was with the normal gloves, normal rules, all that. Is that fair?
Well, whatever it is, if it's with Tyson Fury, I would take it.
Okay.
I have no problem doing boxing with 4 ounce gloves. So yes, we were talking about something little hybrid, maybe the 4 ounce gloves, maybe inside the cage, or I don't know. We will figure it out.
Do you have an ideal first boxing opponent if boxing is next for you? Is there one guy in particular that you think makes sense for the first boxing match?
Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua?
Wow. Okay. So the guys at the top.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Eddie
Yeah, I
Hearn,
did talk.
who's Anthony Joshua's promoter?
Not yet.
Okay. I remember.
It's been
I know.
It's been 2 days.
I know, but he's a bulldog. I remember one time he tried to do a press conference, I think with you and Dillian White, and then they had to cancel it, right? Didn't he try to do that in the beginning of the pandemic?
Here was an interview.
Yes.
I don't know how it turned out to be a press conference,
Right.
but I did an interview.
Right.
Yes, but we didn't follow up about that.
What about
It was just
Deontay?
an interview.
Sorry, what about Deontay Wilder? That seems to be a name that is thrown out a lot. Is he of interest to you? You didn't mention him.
No, he's interesting to me. But I think the thing now is his position, where he's at his contract and everything as well. So that's the problem. So even some fighter out there have a problem. They're engaged somewhere with somebody that's gonna go through them. So yes,
Okay.
but primarily Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. Then yes, Deontay Wilder.
and those are massive names in boxing, the creme de la creme. In MMA, is there anyone outside of the UFC?
I am the creme de la creme too. I'm the
Absolutely.
best fighter in the world. I'm the champion, the undisputed.
You are. You're the best.
champion.
You are the baddest man on the planet. You puffed your chest out, Francis. You let them know. You flex on them. All right. You let those haters. Yeah, let's
Yes.
go. Let's go. I love it.
Yes.
But the
It's
question,
me.
the question I was wondering was, out of the UFC in MMA, is there anyone out there that interests you in MMA heavyweight? Like, are there any names that gets you excited? Because you know we're talking John Jones, Cyril Gane. These are top guys. Are there any top guys? That's the problem that I'm seeing with the other promotions. Bellator, PFL, ONE, those seem to be the main ones. Are there any top guys there that are of interest to you?
Well, as for now, I can't tell. But if ever I go somewhere, we're gonna figure it out. You know, remember, the fight come up every time. The landscape of the fighting business change all the time. When I fought Stipe, Cyril Gane wasn't in the conversation. He was John Jones. But guess what? The next fight that I was having was Cyril Gane, and he was technically the best in the world, and technically. So it's all about the landscape of the moment.
Just curious, I know you have somewhat of a relationship with Jake Paul. He now has a deal with PFL. He obviously has his boxing promotion as well. Announced today that he's going to fight Tommy Fury February 25th. Any talks with Jake Paul or his business partner Nikisa Badarian, formerly of the UFC? Any talks there? Any interest? If not talks yet, but any interest in engaging?
No, not engagement.
Okay.
But if we find a common interest, I have no problem.
Okay. And just curious, as far as boxing is concerned, do you want to do that on your own as well, or are you trying to link up with a promoter there? You know, you mentioned you don't have a promoter, or you didn't have a promoter. Are you trying to link up with one of these promotions or promoters, or do you want to do it solo, like Francis Ngannou promotions?
That sounds good. Francis Ngannou promotion sounds good.
Okay, so you are interested in that as well?
Maybe co-promote? Yes, of course.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, okay. And yeah.
Isn't it a good idea?
Sure, why not? I mean, you're the man, like you said, baddest man on the planet. What about fighting in Africa this year? I feel like that would be a gigantic deal. Is that on the table? Is that something that you want to be a part of the deal?
Fighting in Africa, definitely yes. But I do know that is something that they have to build, they have to prepare. It's not something that you just wake up and decide that you're going to put up a show in somewhere in Africa next month or in 2 months, you know. So yes, that's always my dream, and that's always part of my goal. And more than fighting in Africa, like have some event or some promotion, some sort of program that will give more opportunity for African fighter, something like that. I'd like that. I love that. It's even one of my goals, something that has to be in the contract.
Okay. By the way, if the UFC after this March 4th fight comes back and says, if you don't have a deal, like, hey, all right, John Jones won, like, could we revisit this? Is it possible? Are you open to ever going back to the UFC, ever doing business with the UFC, or based on how all this has been handled, especially since Saturday, is that done? Will you never fight for the UFC again?
You know, personally, I don't take any of this personal. Any of this doesn't touch me at all. You know, I think I have gotten to a point of my life that I'm cool, man. You know, I get past everything. I have seen a lot. And one thing that I have also learned in life, never say never, you know. So down the road, maybe I go out there, I have a boxing match, or he went well or not, or I don't know. But one thing that I know is that even in that situation, he has to be on my turn. You know, he has to be on my turn.
And right now your video is frozen on us, so we're just hearing your voice, but we still hear your voice. So we'll hope that it comes back. It's frozen at the moment on just a still picture of you, but I still hear you. You hear me, right?
Yes, I hear you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Those things that you're asking for, independent contractor, health insurance, all. Do you ever foresee a day that MMA fighters and in particular UFC fighters get these things? That they get the things that other pro athletes get? Do you think now that you've been sort of in the trenches and fought for this stuff that we'll ever see a day that this comes?
Uh, I doubt. I doubt it. It's really tough. And the problem is that with time goes by, the UFC just get bigger and bigger, and fighter gets smaller and smaller. They are losing position. You know, uh, 5 years, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, fighter was in the better position that they are right now. And I'm afraid that 10 years, 5 or 10 years from now, they will be in the worst position that they are right now. So it's going to be very hard to deal with the UFC because it doesn't matter how many fighters are in the roster, uh, they deal, they make a deal individually. They treat every case individually, you know. And if you are not somebody, you dare talk about those stuff, you get caught, you get punished, you get frozen, and you can't say anything. And you need to provide for your family. You're tight. You don't have a choice. So that's the thing. Fighters, they don't have a choice. They don't have any power in front of a gigantic UFC. So I doubt it. Unless some politics or government step into it and decide to regulate it, not just fighter on their own. That can happen.
Do you
It's
think we ever see a union?
it's a big mission. As I said, unless like some big politician or government step in, but not fighter on their own. I read some article like a couple months ago about like a lobbying firm that they was paying to stop a bill that somebody was trying to pass, stuff like that. They have all those power, they have all those control, and they can control the men fighters, those one who have power. They are all tight. Nobody really have a voice, a
Mm.
power to do anything.
Do you feel
So
support from your fellow fighters? Do you feel like people have your back publicly, privately? Are you feeling that support?
privately, yes, but nobody can step publicly. You
Mm.
step publicly, you get punished. And I get that. I know exactly what it is. They need to provide for their family, no matter what.
Mm.
You know. So
And do you feel like when Dana White said on Saturday, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here, which I think is a crazy statement because we've seen, right? Imagine.
no, 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 no. That's one of Dana stuff. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. I guarantee you, so many people in the UFC, basically those elite fighters, they don't want to be there because they know that they can have better, but they're tied in the contract. Oh, they're tied in the contract.
Mm.
If you don't want to be there here, you don't have to be here. No, I mean that's the kind of thing that they say when they are desperate. That
Mm.
sounds like desperation.
Just a couple other questions, and then I'll let you go. And again, thank you so much for the time. This has been incredible. And there's a lot of people watching, and we appreciate it so much that you're coming on. Last year, I remember 2 days after the Surreal fight, you came on, and that was riveting as well. And you told me about two things that I just wanted to ask about. Number one, this legal letter that you guys received as you guys were leaving to the arena. Whatever happened with that? I believe you got a legal letter, your manager did at the time, Markel Martin, about conversations and whatnot. Did anything ever happen with that?
No, nothing. Nothing happened after that.
Okay.
Nothing happened after that. I think that was like a threat or something, or a psychological attack. I don't know what the hell was that, but he didn't stand a chance because there wasn't really a reason. Uh, there wasn't a reason.
Mm.
So It was just an empty threat.
You also told us about a text message that your manager received that was threatening. Did you ever find out who sent that?
No, and he still received someone after that.
Wow. With the same type of tone?
Yeah,
With like racial undertones?
yes, with the same type of tone and the same number.
Wow. And you never, or he never found out who was sending that.
No,
The area
never
code
did.
was 702, right?
I can't remember. I don't want to say something wrong, so I can't remember exactly.
Okay. I believe I remember them saying that, but all right, fair enough. I mean, it doesn't really matter where the area code is. If it's a fake number or whatever, it could be from anywhere. It could be from anyone. All right, so the no legal stuff, the text message, all good. At this point, where like, what is your prediction? I think everyone wants to know. All right, because when you fight, it's going to be the one of the biggest stories of the year. What is your gut saying? Like, do you think we see Francis Ngannou compete in anything? July, June, May? What are you feeling at this point?
Um, Hopefully somewhere the latest will be July. I would say so.
Okay,
Um, Hopefully, so at least twice this year.
okay. And what is your
Yeah,
gut telling you? Leaning boxing or MMA in this fight before July? What are you thinking?
my gut, I would say boxing.
Boxing, okay. And a pro boxing bout.
Yeah, yeah, pro boxing,
Wow.
pro
But
pro boxing.
and do you know where?
I really want to feel that. Not yet,
Okay. And you don't know with
but
who?
I'm gonna find out. I'm working on it. I'm on it right now.
Okay. And in terms of who you'll be training with, like, will you still train at Extreme Couture with Eric and Dewey and the same guys if you go the boxing route?
If I go to boxing, I have to have another camp. I have to. But yes, I will still be with them.
Okay, so you may go to one of these big boxing coaches, like because like when Connor did boxing, he stayed with the same guys, and some people thought, oh, maybe in retrospect that wasn't the best decision. Would you go to one of these, true boxing, pure boxing coaches to go prepare for this debut?
Um, I've been thinking about that, and that question is really tough to answer because yeah, I would say let's just say I might find somebody who will maybe assist my team,
Okay,
or help my team. Let's say something like that. Yes, because I feel like we do need that little addition of pro boxing, pure pro boxing at that level. But also still feel like we can still uh, work something on our own. So I don't think he will be an issue to find an outsider as long as he has the input.
okay. And how many more years do you want to do this for? You're, I believe, 35, 36, right? So are you hoping to fight past 40? What are you thinking?
I'm a heavyweight and I started the sport, I was 27. So I'm pretty fresh. And so, yeah, I think I want to pass 40, but also I want to keep fighting when I have this fire. The day that I don't have this excitement, that I wake up and don't get excited to go to the gym, I think that would be the call out, you know. But as for now, I had that fire, that excitement. I feel it. I want it. I'll keep doing it. And I feel good, it's crazy, but I'm getting older, but I feel like I'm getting younger.
Hmm.
I feel better and better.
And this situation, this experience with the UFC didn't sour your feelings towards fighting, the fight game, all that stuff, where you're like, screw this. I just want to be left alone.
Well, what I have learned in life is that after every storm comes a good time, my friend. So the good time is coming.
I love it. I love it.
So you just have to go through the storm and keep it on. Don't give up through the storm,
And you
and then
feel,
you will enjoy the good
yes.
time.
Do you feel like the storm is officially passed?
Oh, the storm has passed for sure.
Do you have
It's
any
just a good time now.
do you have any regrets about how this was handled? Is there anything that you wish could have been done differently?
Mm. And that's what I've been thinking about. After all this, I kind of like take myself, uh, collect myself, and ask myself, what could I have done differently? Like, okay, maybe I should have do this or this. Then I think about it. I'm like, no. I think like if I have to repeat it, if I have to redo it, I would do the same thing because I believe that I did thing right and with a good faith. So from that moment, doesn't matter what is the result, I will not have a regret. I give my best with a good faith. That's all what I know.
I remember last year you told me if this ends, I'm okay. I'm at peace. If this is the end, I'm at peace. Do you still feel the same way? Now that it seems like your UFC career
Oh,
is over, you're at peace.
I am at peace, as I said.
Huh.
I have done everything right. I'm the only thing that I avoid in my life, the only thing that scares me is regret. That's the only thing that really scares me from since I'm kids is regret. So I always make sure that I do everything that is in my power in order to avoid regret in the future.
It,
And
it,
I feel like I done it right.
yeah, it feels like watching you, looking at you, it feels like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. It feels like you're at peace. And in conclusion, Francis, like I reread the story that was written about you last year on ESPN about your life from the great writer Tim Cowan. And it's really amazing. Like the fact that there's not been a movie made on your life and what you have had to overcome just to get here is unbelievable to me. Like there needs to be one. From losing your father at a young age to working, for less than $2 as a young kid to, trying to escape and detention center and the sea and the raft and homeless and the parking garage, all the stuff that you've had to overcome is really amazing. But there was that one line that I spoke about yesterday that that he wrote that you kept repeating to yourself when you were in jail and they were trying to break you. Never underestimate someone who has hope. And it feels like now you have hope. Is that, by the way, an accurate thing? That line, is that something that you've believed in? Because now I just feel the hope oozing out of you. I feel the excitement oozing out of you. Is this almost reminiscent? Obviously, different terms, different situation, different circumstances. But you have hope again. You have the freedom that you've been searching for, and that is making you very happy and excited.
Yes. And something that I would say about it, I think maybe hope wasn't accurate. Faith. I was talking about faith. I do believe that somebody that have faith is somebody that have succeeded already. The rest is just a matter of time. I have faith. Yes. I have hope, but most importantly, I have faith in myself and in what I'm doing. And that's what matters. Uh, I remember from the beginning of everything, there was nothing. He was just a small kid walking out of a sand mine. The only thing that kid has was a faith in himself, a hope that thing is going to change. His future is bright. And I still have the same thing. That the only thing that I always needed. And that's the only thing that I make sure that I don't lose it. I have it. And as long as I have those, I'm good.
I can
I
understand why
have
you have
hope
it
and I
now,
have faith.
but how did you have it back then when you had no food, no shoes, you know, barely anywhere to live? How did you have faith and hope back then that brought you to this point? What's the secret?
You know, that's exactly like one of the things that I think I was given. I was gifted. you know, because I do ask myself the same question sometimes. I do ask myself why at this moment in my life I didn't give up when everything seems to prove me wrong. And there was a multiple step in my life like that. Every step in my life was just enough to give up. Why I didn't give up? Why I kept going? I don't know. Why I kept believing. It wasn't just about keep going, but it was like keep believing, you know? I don't know. Why do I dare stand against the UFC and do something that nobody have done that wasn't proof wasn't proven before? I don't know, but I knew I just have my principle. I have my faith, and I keep doing it. You know, why do I fight with a injured knee? Why do I do this? Why do I do that? I don't know, but I just do it. I believe it in me. You know, I have that hope, that faith, who been driving me. So I think that was my gift. I don't think it's something that I can take a credit out of it. I can say, oh, I have done this. I did this to believe, to have faith, to have hope. I think it's just something that I was blessed with.
And do you feel like all those trials and tribulations, everything that you have overcome, it really is mind blowing what you have had to overcome. Do you feel like all of that, while it pales in comparison to what you're going through now, because that's life or death stuff, you're good. But do you feel like all of this prepared you for this moment? Like that's why you're able to smile here. That's why you're able to be strong and not worry and not crumble under the pressure.
Absolutely. You know, like I always, when I was younger, I always complain about my life not being good, about this uh, being wrong in my life. Then I get to the point that I realize that without that life, I couldn't get where I am, you know. And it might sound crazy, but if I have to restart, I wouldn't change anything. You know, I didn't choose my life, but I think it was the best life that I could have had because those prepare me from to get where I am. You know, it taught me everything. I get to the point of my life that basically I'm not afraid of losing everything. I'm not afraid of anything. I know in my gut that if I have to restart from zero, I will make it. I have seen worse. So after having that confidence, I think I can overcome everything. I can overcome anything that can stand on my way, and I have no stress about it.
Mm. By the way, there was a picture of, I think your family, it might have been your mom or someone close to you, a family member. There was a picture that emerged of someone wearing a PFL t-shirt, and people thought that that was maybe a sign that you're, did you see this picture? Do you know about this picture? And what was that all about?
You won't believe me. I didn't even notice that she had a PFL t-shirt on, and I didn't even know where she get that t-shirt from. I swear to God.
Okay, I believe you.
But I just find out on social media some sort of speculation, and I'm like, damn, what's going on?
Oh my God.
But I didn't know at all. That
Who,
was like random,
who
just
was that? Was that your mom?
completely random. Yes, it was my mom.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of free stuff here and there, but that is, I mean, everyone thought that that was maybe you telling us a sign that you were going to PFL. You're saying it's a complete coincidence.
No, it was a complete coincidence.
Okay.
Although PFL is also an option. So,
Yes, of course. But as of right now,
but that was a complete coincidence.
okay, so in conclusion, as of right now, there is no next stop. You are talking to everyone. You're hoping to return by the summer, July, before July. Boxing is of great interest. Your gut says boxing, but let's see what people bring to the table. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that I didn't touch on that you want to address in front of this big audience? Is there anything you want to get off your chest?
No, I can't think of anything on top of my head right now. I think we went through a lot.
Okay. And is there
Mm.
any message that you want to give to the people who have supported you? Anything that you want to say to your fans? A lot of people I see have your back. are rooting for you, are happy that you stuck to your proverbial guns. Is there anything that you want to say to those people?
Of course. I haven't made a video this morning, but for some reason, we have a technical issue. I'd make a video to express my gratitude to all those, to everyone being patient with me during the fight, my surgery, the negotiation process, express my gratitude for all the fans to support me, the UFC fan who've been supporting me during this journey, and also thank the UFC because doesn't matter what happened, they gave me the opportunity, they gave me the platform uh, to express myself, to showcase myself. So, and I'm very grateful of that. And I really I mean, it's a very controversial situation, but I just have a good relationship with everyone at the UFC. Like, seems like everyone that works at the UFC, we just genuinely have a good relationship. They treat me good, be nice with me. And I want to say thank you for them. Thank you for the UFC PI, for all the staff there that been great with me, welcoming me every day, you know, sharing their smiles, everything, Yeah,
Can you still go to the PI, by
it's
the
been
way?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably. Although I see some other people.
But it's been great. It's been great. I've been in Vegas for almost 6 years, and I was welcomed by people there, by people working at the UFC. They helped me to build my own environment, structure my own life there. And today, Vegas is home, and Vegas is still home, no matter what happened. And I still consider those people, and I appreciate them
Okay.
very much
By the way, will
for
you
everything.
watch on March 4th the Gane Jones fight?
Of course, I'm very excited about that fight. I'll be watching, and I think it's an incredible fight. I think it's going to be very entertaining. I'm going to be watching.
Who do you think
The,
wins?
the only the little thing that I might not be I disagree with it is the undisputed,
Right.
because unfortunately the undisputed champ is here. But I'm very excited about that fight. I will be watching.
Who do you think wins?
Everybody can win. First of all, it depends on which Junjun will show up. Um, that's the good question. Which Junjun will show up? Which Junjun do we gonna see fight? The Junjun that we've been seeing for the past two fights, I don't know, maybe, or a new version of John Jones, very excited, hungry. Because if John Jones shows up hungry and really won that fight, I think it's going to be a very good fight because Gane will be Gane. I know he's going to be there. So, but John Jones has a trick, He's a he's an experienced fighter. He has a trick, and he might still have something that surpass Gane experience that Gane doesn't understand yet.
We will leave it at that, Francis. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for the time. I really, really appreciate it. I wish you nothing but the best. Congratulations on an incredible run, making it to the top of that mountain, becoming UFC heavyweight champion, defying all the odds, becoming an inspiration to so many around the world. And I can't wait to see what you do next, my friend. I can't wait to see what direction you go in, and we will be talking about it. And when you make that decision, please come back, and we could talk about that as well, because there's a lot to talk about. Go ahead. Yes.
Yes. What next? I'll just climb another mountain.
Yes.
As I said, the top of one mountain is the bottom of another mountain.
I can't wait to see what that mountain is. Good luck to you, Francis. Thank you so much for the time. Bon courage, mon ami. I appreciate you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
All right, there he is.
Bonne soirée.
Bonsoir from Cameroon. Francis Ngannou joining us. The now, I guess, former UFC heavyweight champion, but still the baddest man on the planet. The one and only Francis Ngannou. What a story. What a wild story. What a wild start to 2023. He, I feel like, addressed it all. I thought took the high road. I thought was very classy, thanking the UFC, not holding that grudge, telling his side of the story. Again, seems like he wants to scratch that boxing itch. Seems like he wants to go in that direction. But let's see who comes correct. Again, if I'm Bellator, if I'm PFL, if I'm ONE, if I'm all these MMA promotions, I'm lining up right now to try to get this guy and tell him, hey, you can go fight. Bellator, hey, you want to fight on Showtime Boxing? Great. PFL, you want to fight on an MVP card and maybe Showtime? Who knows? Great. ONE, you want to fight in a box? Great. Like, whatever you want. Baddest man on the planet. There will never be another time like this. This doesn't happen. You are either locked up in your deal. There's the matching period. There's this or that. They're not going to let you fight for the belt. Blah, 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 blah. It will, I mean, it's 1 in a million for a guy to make it to the top, to be champion, to win the belt, go into the last fight on his deal as champion, successfully defend it, let the whole year pass, and then matching period waived. I mean, it's truly unprecedented. Never happened. Never, ever, ever happened. People have been stripped. People have left, free agents, but never these circumstances. And oh, by the way, heavyweight champion, baddest man on the planet, the glamour division. Truly, truly once in a lifetime. 1 in a million, unprecedented. And so now he's got the whole world in his hands. Everyone's going to come after him. Make no mistake. Can't wait to see how this all plays out. Let's talk to the boys and get their thoughts on what we just heard, what transpired. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
And a special hello to everyone tuning in live today. Nice little audience. New York Rick,
a couple people there.
Your thoughts on what we just heard from Francis?
Yeah, I think
did you make a list again, by the way?
I did not make a list.
All
This one's a lot shorter because I thought you two did a good job going through everything, and kind of touched on all the points that I was looking to hear from Francis. Most notably to me was the list of demands, right? Outside of the money, he didn't give a specific dollar figure. You obviously asked him about how much he would potentially make for the Jones fight, and he said in that range of the 8 million. But as he had said, and it's very clear now in the process of the negotiation, it wasn't a money thing per se. And the other list of demands that he had, which may not be exhaustive, he may not have given every single thing that was on that list, but he cited being able to utilize sponsorships, health insurance, and having an advocate in meetings, a fighter's advocate. So those things are pretty concrete, pretty specific, and something that now, if we are to look at this negotiation as a test case or as precedent going forward, Francis Ngannou asked for these things and was not granted these things, and the UFC essentially said we can't do those things. So I think that's the most fascinating angle and aspect to this, because as we've heard all along from Francis, it wasn't just dollars and cents, and it seemed like he felt a little bit disrespected that the idea was they were just going to continue to throw money at him and not address these other issues. So for me, there was a lot obviously in here, but for me, that was the most significant part and the biggest takeaway for me.
What about you, GC?
Yeah, I guess one thing is it's just like, it seems like he's incredibly content with it. It doesn't feel like he's bitter, like him thanking the UFC. Like it felt like he thought he was disrespected, but he knows his worth and he's just happy to move on from this. I mean, the fact that he's just like, you're asking him about people blowing him up in the last few days, and he's like, yeah, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes I just turn off the phone. Right. It doesn't have to be dealt with today. Like he said he's happy. He's cool with it. He's ready to move on. He's ready to climb the next mountain. And like, I mean, I believe him. Like he truly seems like a guy completely content with the situation going on.
I'm happy that he, obviously, selfishly happy that he came on the show, but I think it was important for him to address all this stuff sooner rather than later, to not let the notion be like he didn't want the John Jones fight, this and that. I mean, he even said, 3-fight deal, I wanted Jones twice. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's kind of odd that he asked for a 3-fight deal and wanted to fight John Jones twice for a guy who didn't want to fight John Jones and was willing to do it and then do it again. Not just once. Give me 2 cracks at the guy. I mean, that's a fascinating.
The Randy Couture line was pretty crazy.
That was a crazy line. And again, knowing what they know, right? Like knowing what his demands were just makes the press conference that much harder to digest for me, because you went up there knowing this stuff. Because obviously if his demands were not relayed to Dana, I'd be absolutely shocked. Of course they were relayed. And I thought it was interesting that he said that he thought that he was in the room for the last phone call.
Yeah.
But knowing all of that, to sit up there and say, oh, this guy just wants to be comfortable and take the easy route. And again, as I said yesterday, all you could have said was, look, he asked for things that we weren't comfortable with. We don't do business like that. We couldn't meet in the middle. It's unfortunate, but guess what? We got a great fight. God bless Francis. Maybe we revisit this in 6 months after this. Who knows?
Essentially what he just said.
Yeah.
It's like they're admitting that those were good questions to ask, and turning them down was silly.
Yeah.
Like he just said everything about it. The way that he was so respectful about the UFC and just like, I mean, just the way he's handling it seems very professional and very accepting. Like you were like, can you still go to the UFC PI? And he sort of laughed it off. He's like, nah, dude, I don't think so. I don't work there anymore.
Nah. I mean, it's just an amazing thing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, again, I mean, my thoughts on this clear yesterday that, promoter talk should be taken with a grain of salt at all times. But what's odd about it is like, why wrap 2 lies into it, right? Like it's the John Jones implying that, he doesn't want to fight with top level competition and John Jones, but then also making it for more money, as if money was the sticking point, as if money was the issue and not the other things to be addressed. So yeah, just an odd kind of way to approach that, knowing what the actual situation was. A lot easier to just say, because if you're Dana White, if you're the UFC, Francis Ngannou is going to speak at some point, right? You know that there's just not a world where he just doesn't say anything for the rest of his life and career. Why not just say less? Say less.
Yeah.
Thanks, Francis. It was great. Good luck. See you.
Look at this great heavyweight fight we have for the title.
Yeah,
that's really all you. That's really all you had to do. I mean,
less.
even Francis himself was saying that he's excited to watch the fight.
It's amazing, though, when you think back to Dana not putting the belt around his waist, to Dana not showing up at the press conference, to the comments back in 2018. It had to have driven him nuts that he had a guy as good as Francis, a heavyweight with his backstory, with his look, with his power, with his skill, and they couldn't keep him, right? And so that's the byproduct of what you saw on Saturday. That was, I think, as someone said to me last night, like that was a humble Dana. That was, the Dana post slap incident, showing up there and biting his tongue on a few things, because 4 years ago, it's an even worse version of him, completely burying the guy. If that wasn't a complete burial, whatever, you get the point. And so to let a guy like that walk, it's true, it is unprecedented. Now, Dana said it's only happened twice before. I still don't know why he compared it to Fedor, because Fedor they never had on their contract. They just couldn't come to terms on a deal with Fedor. It's wild that Nate Diaz just went through the same thing. His matching period not waived as of right this second, but it's crazy that this has happened now twice in the span of 4 or 5 months.
Tell me what you think of this. I think the comparison to Fedor is that Dana White feels like they gave everything they could, and it wasn't accepted. I think that's where the mentality is,
possible.
Right? They took all the stops that they possibly could, or in their mind, in Dana White's mind, that they possibly could. They wanted Fedor badly. They wanted Francis Ngannou badly, and they couldn't get it done. That's how I interpreted it, because obviously there have been other people who have been possible to negotiate with, but I that is how I read it.
Yeah, possible. Although, again, to dismiss all the other stuff is a little disingenuous. So what do you guys think? What's your prediction? I asked him his prediction, and he was actually quite forthright with it, as he was throughout the entire conversation. What do you think, GC? Where, when, who? What's like? Let's plant our flag right now. And interesting, by the way, Joshua and Fury. Everyone always pairs him with Wilder, I feel like, for some reason. And he didn't mention Wilder initially, which I thought was interesting. But what's your prediction?
I stand by what I said yesterday. Boxing for sure is where I
Mhm.
think he's going to go. I mean, I felt like he echoed those sentiments. When I'll say August of 2023. I think we see him fight this year. I don't think it's going to be against Tyson Fury. Oh man, Anthony Joshua. On the spot right now, as a filler, I'll say against Joshua, but I feel zero confidence in that.
Zero confidence.
I don't know who he's going to fight. That's the thing. I think he's going to box. I think he's going to box in 2023. I just haven't decided on who I think it's going to be against.
Okay. What about you, Rick?
Yeah, he's going to box. It's going to be this year. But the opponent, I think what Francis Ngannou is about to find out is how much harder it is to make a boxing fight than it is to make a UFC fight. I think he's about to be introduced to a world that is a lot trickier in terms of getting sides to negotiate, is a lot more protective of people's record, right? You don't want to be the boxer. You don't want to be Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, any of these guys who comes in and gets starched by the MMA guy. It is going to be very difficult, I think, for him to get a top level fight. I think it's going to be difficult for him to get a fight at all, frankly, of any note, just because of his status. So yeah, I think he will box. I don't know who it's up against because I don't know who's going to be willing to take that risk at that high level. Tyson Fury probably seems the most game, but I think Tyson Fury's eye is on title unification at the moment. And as I said, you have to kind of pin Tyson Fury down when you need him right at that moment. Otherwise, he's gone.
Right.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure who he's gonna fight, but I would be shocked if it wasn't boxing.
Wouldn't it be fascinating? Sorry if he calls up Eddie Hearn. And look, one way to get to Anthony Joshua is to team up with Eddie Hearn. Then it's a lot easier to make the fight, right? So hey, Matchroom, let's go.
Rick, you make a good point with you don't want to be the guy that gets starched by the MMA guy, and Anthony Joshua is coming off of 2 straight losses, and obviously the post-fight speech last time, like, I don't know if he can handle a 3rd straight loss, and the 3rd being to a guy coming over from MMA. I mean, obviously the money is there, but it feels like
people will say, I mean, what would Anthony Joshua be like as?
Well, there's talks of a fight now for Joshua. You know, that's being talked about. So it might not necessarily be a 3rd loss in a row. Maybe he picks one up and then fights Ngannou. But if I'm Anthony Joshua, I'm not sure I want to fight Francis Ngannou. I'm really not.
Because yesterday you were telling me you were fairly confident that this was not going to be a successful venture. So why? Just because of the risk?
The risk. It's a high risk. It has a super high risk and a low reward. What does if I'm Anthony Joshua, if I'm Tyson Fury, what does beating Francis Ngannou do for my boxing career? These are boxers, right?
Yeah,
They're not MMA guys going into a boxing ring. They have ambitions that are. Anthony Joshua doesn't fancy himself an influencer boxer. Anthony Joshua fancies himself a world champion. He isn't on the path to doing more of these fights. That's not his road, and that's not Tyson Fury's road. I think Tyson Fury's obviously a little bit more willing, the WWE stuff, to kind of play around.
Sure.
As good as he is, which is insane. I mean, that dude doesn't get enough credit. I don't know if you take a high risk, low reward fight like Francis Ngannou. But yes, on a technical basis, these guys are leaps and bounds better, quite frankly.
Once in a lifetime, though, baddest man versus baddest man, heavyweight champ versus heavyweight. Like there's a lot.
It's only going to happen once. You're right. We get one shot at this.
And I want to see it. I don't want to see it with the 4-ounce gloves. Like I want to see him in a real boxing match if that's what he wants. Let's see this for real. Let's
agree.
All right, yeah. Let's say Fury faces Usyk, becomes undisputed, fights Francis Ngannou in August, and it's the baddest man.
Huge.
Baddest
it's
man.
the fucking huge.
That's my new prediction. I'm changing it over. That's my new prediction.
It's not a bad
Tyson Fury in August.
Jeez Louise, that would
sign me up.
Gives them a little time to get ready.
Vegas, do it in the Raiders Stadium.
We're gonna have.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Jeez, no, I literally couldn't. The scenes would be insane.
I mean, look, they both teased that a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah, so weird that it just
ago.
Not even. It was like 9 months.
It was April. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So whenever it was, they teased that. They said, "Let's do it." I think we're gonna have to deal with 4 Fury retirements at the time between then. But it's all
right as long as it happens.
And I don't know if we put too much stock into this stuff, but like, if you don't think Francis Ngannou can hang with those guys in terms of popularity, notoriety. Like, just look at the interest in this story over the last few days. Like, Francis Ngannou is on their level. People care about his story, about what he does, the way this story plays out, all that stuff. Let me ask you guys this. If Francis goes and box, and, it could happen, he loses, does that hurt him as an MMA fighter? Does he then lose power, leverage, all that stuff if he then goes to Bellator, PFL 1, all that stuff? Yes?
Hurts him big time, in my opinion.
Really?
Oh, you think because the
Because-
top tier in boxing, it hurts him?
Yeah, because first of all, I think there's probably if you asked who the baddest man on the planet is, I'm not sure that people would say Francis Ngannou. I think a lot of people would say Tyson Fury. If you lose, then not only are you putting yourself underneath Fury potentially, you're also putting yourself under potentially Gane or Jones. So yeah, that would be very bad.
Didn't hurt
Stop,
Connor.
in my opinion. Different levels, different game. That's not the game.
What do you mean?
Because Francis Ngannou is not Conor McGregor. He's not the prolific megastar superstar who can go do anything that he wants and force the UFC's hand. Francis Ngannou is a guy that broke up with the UFC.
No, but I'm
and
saying
is
people didn't
reliant
view
upon-
Connor differently as an athlete because he lost to Floyd Mayweather. I'm not talking about star power. I'm just saying as an athlete.
You said, does it hurt his stock?
Yeah, okay.
If you're asking
even
me,
that.
like, yeah, it hurts his stock huge. Does it hurt? Do I care? Like, what does my opinion of how Francis Ngannou competes as an MMA fighter change if he loses to one of the best boxers in the world? Of course not. Do I think that it hurts his stock drastically? Yeah, big time. He is no. You can't
man,
call
I
him
don't
the
know.
baddest man.
I don't
on the planet
agree.
If he loses,
I don't know if I
that
agree.
I mean, yeah,
Now,
maybe
if he
you
gets
can't
knocked
give
out in 15 seconds, yeah, that's
Yes.
one thing. If he goes the distance with one of these dudes with no pro
It's
bouts,
a great job. Clap, clap, clap. Commendable.
you don't think
Can't be the
Bellator wants
baddest
him
man on
then?
the planet. I think
Yeah,
they
you-
want him, but I think his leverage will be significantly reduced.
Oh, I disagree. Like if he goes the distance with Tyson Fury and like he puts on a commendable performance, I think Bellator would still pay him a ridiculous amount of
I'm
money
not-
to enjoy the.
I'm not
the
arguing that they
organization.
won't still. I'm arguing that he could get a better deal with Bellator right now than if he goes out there and loses to Tyson Fury. I don't think that's arguable. In fact,
I
think
mean,
it's
maybe
pretty
not
obvious.
arguably, but you're saying that the stock is going to take a huge hit. I don't think it's going to be a huge
Yeah.
hit. I disagree.
all right. Oh, we're allowed to disagree.
He's also got limited options, right? If he loses that boxing fight, now his potential options are Bellator or another boxing fight. Now coming off a loss.
So
if
perhaps,
he wins the fight,
yeah.
the sky is.
I mean, if he
there's no
wins the
ceiling.
fight,
Wins the
like
fight,
the man is the
fucking-
king of the
he's
world. Like,
printing
if
money.
he goes
Yeah.
in there, like it's done. He's now the boxing heavyweight champion.
So perhaps
It's a-
what you're
it's a high
advising
risk
is,
for him too.
should he make all these deals before the next fight?
100%.
Right.
Line
Okay,
up an
so you're-
MMA.
all right.
Line up an MMA organization that allows you to go take a boxing fight and go take a boxing fight.
And by the way,
I mean,
I like that plan.
if you're Bellator or PFL, are you saying no to that deal? I'm not.
No, you can't.
They just
How
let
could
Dylan
you?
Dennis
How
go
could
box.
you?
No, but I'm just saying, like, to say that I have the UFC heavyweight champion on my roster is a huge.
Yes.
have to do this.
You
Cool.
can't say no as one of those levels of organizations. You want to talk about who's the number 2 organization? You sign Francis Ngannou, that gives you a huge bargaining chip on you being the number 2 organization.
I think we have to be honest about Francis Ngannou, right? It's one title defense. Like we have, there's a certain point where we have to. I respect the hell out of the guy. I said it yesterday. What he is doing is monumental. I think it will have an impact. What impact it is, I'm not sure. I think that remains to be seen. But I think he's now an example for many other fighters and athletes, kind of how they're conceiving their careers moving forward. But it's one title defense. Like we're not talking about if John Jones on the heels of his long championship reign left. We're not talking about Khabib Nurmagomedov in his
But
prime
it's a
going
title
from-
defense after beating the most decorated heavyweight champion of all time. The
100%.
you know what I
It's a
mean?
great
And
title
also
defense.
it's
It's a
also
great-
ignoring the fact that it took them a hell of a long time to give him that title shot. Remember, they freaking dragged their feet all over town with that one. So I get what you're saying. He doesn't have that Kamaru Usman title defense record by his side.
Yeah.
But the guy did work in the most volatile weight class possible, and then walked away with the belt. It's pretty fucking
No doubt.
crazy.
It is tremendous, but it is not.
I'm not going to allow you to disparage the great name of Francis Ngannou.
I'm sorry. His stock will take a hit if his next
Oh,
fight is
going back to that? No, of course. Anytime you lose, your stock takes a hit. But I think it really depends on how he loses. If he loses, again, if he wins, it's fucking game over. Like Jesus Christ. Then he might have to go back to Bellator and PFL
ceiling.
and be like, "Yo, can we restructure this deal?" Like now, you know what I mean?
If he wins, I think the UFC might come back to the table and change.
I mean, yeah.
Change their
if he
stance
wins, he's
real
not
quick.
going to Bellator PFL. He's talking to Eddie Hearn and Dana White on, Mega.
And by the way, great point. In these cases, I think I've watched enough pro wrestling, and I know the UFC holds a grudge a little differently than Vince McMahon. I've seen enough people that we thought would never come back. So I don't feel comfortable saying like he will never fight for the UFC again. Obviously, there's a lot at play here, and he's asking for things that they don't want to give up. But crazier things have happened in this crazy ass world of combat sports.
100%.
If that potential business is on the table, your stances on things start to change a little bit.
I wouldn't be
all
shocked.
Of a sudden, that sponsorship doesn't look so bad.
Right. By the way, I wouldn't even be shocked if John Jones wins. If Gane wins, it might be different. But if Jones wins, especially in emphatic fashion, if he doesn't have a deal by March 4th, which is possible, March 4th isn't that far away. It's only a month and a half away. And they're like, yo, all right, let's talk about this one more time, right?
Yeah.
2 fights.
Well, that's the
Two-fight
beauty.
contract.
Yeah.
John Jones twice.
Francis Ngannou can do whatever he wants. That's the beauty of it. He's not. It's not a situation where it's okay. Now, what can I do beyond the UFC? His options are unlimited. He has all the potential options in the world, and it's why he fought so hard to get here. And now he has that flexibility and that freedom. I mean, he spoke about the word freedom and respect over and over and over,
Right.
and now he has it. He has unlimited resources at his disposal. He is the man. He is the king.
Have you ever seen someone who has no home at the moment, right? Like work, employment, in this case, promotion, whatever, just be so happy and relieved? Like you could just feel the relief coming off the screen, right?
Oh,
like
I envy him. I envy that. That's incredible. The relaxation that he just had about everything, about his whole life right now is, I envy that. It's incredible.
I think there's also a power to the idea that the UFC wanted him, right? Now he knows in his head, now in his free agency, he knows the most significant organization in the sport that I've competed the longest in offered me this amount of money, and I said no. What could be after that? There's a lot of possibility on the other side of that. So yeah, man, good for him.
Good for him.
He did
man.
the damn thing.
And again, not about the money. Like we hate on athletes all the time. This guy left, I guess, in the range of 8, 9, 10, 7, somewhere in that range, it seems like, and just said, there are other things that I want. That is wild. Like, that is not easy. We talk about it just like that is for a guy who grew up, getting paid $1.90 to, work in the sand mines, and we're talking millions upon millions to be a pro athlete, still relatively, in the prime of his life, right? Mid-30s. As he said, just started as a 27-year-old. Like that is wild shit. And it's not like an NBA free agent saying no to the Mavericks and signing with the Pistons, right? Like the money is coming wherever. This is the great unknown. I'm sure he knows he's going to get paid, but like he is walking away from the top organization to the great unknown, and on the way out, he was shat on.
He's taken a risk, but I think everybody is kind of pulling for him to reap the rewards of this, and I don't doubt that he will. I mean, it's risky in a certain capacity. I think long term it's more risky. I think short term, he's probably going to benefit greatly from this.
Gents, great stuff. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Appreciate your insight. Francis Ngannou took the road less traveled throughout his entire life just to make it to this point, from Cameroon to Spain to France to many stops in between to Las Vegas, and once again taking the road less traveled in the world of combat sports. This is a wild thing, a Tuesday afternoon show. Appreciate everyone who's tuning in. We're Mondays and Wednesdays here on the show, and we're back tomorrow. So we're giving you 3 shows this week. Frank is asking for overtime. I'm still working on the overtime, Frank.
I get paid for this.
Oh, you love this so much you don't even want to get paid.
Francis has set a precedent for me.
What about Francis, right? Are you inspired?
Such a sweetheart. And you guys did a really good job unpacking everything. I don't know if you explicitly asked the question that you wanted me to remind you of, but I feel like he answered it anyway.
No, I think he answered at the beginning. The question was, wow, look at you, Frank, telling me I didn't do my job.
That is
I thought he
not what I
addressed it
said.
relatively early about that he was asking for these things not just for himself, but for everyone.
Right. But so I guess the question is, You're talking to PFL, you're talking to Bellator. Do you mention them again?
Yeah, I guess.
And I'm not saying I expect him to. I'm just curious.
I feel like he will.
Cool.
I feel like he will. I mean, he asked the UFC for it. Why wouldn't he ask these other guys for it?
Right.
By
or
the way,
they'll already know coming into it since he's being spoken about it.
By the way, you weren't able to like fix the Wi-Fi there, like you just
we were telling him.
Yeah.
But I think it went really well.
I know, I'm kidding. Listen, most importantly for me was to hear him, and we heard him just fine. If we weren't hearing, if it was like that would have been a problem. But
so you're saying the audio department was on?
Audio department was fucking amazing. I mean, you killed it. You killed it.
There we go.
There's 24,000 people now. I feel like watching. I feel like it's almost a shame to say goodbye, but I don't really have anything else to say. So I will remind you that we're back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, our usual slot. Already confirmed for tomorrow's show. Can't stop, won't stop. The aforementioned Cyril Gane, the man who is fighting John Jones on March 4th. The aforementioned Stipe Miocic, who says he wants to fight the winner of the John Jones-Cyril Gane fight in July. We'll see what happens. Curtis Blades, who's also very much in the mix. Does he fight Sergey Pavlovich next? We shall see. And also Neil Magny, who's fighting Gilbert Burns this Saturday at UFC 283. And the legend, the incomparable, the inimitable, the one and only Shogun Rua, who is competing in his retirement fight. This is what we've been told. On Saturday as well, the Brazilian great, the former Pride, the former UFC champion will also be joining us. We have a huge show tomorrow. Also on the nose, answer your questions, parlay pals, all that stuff and more. I like these special editions. You only do them for the special ones. Francis Ngannou is one of the special ones. Warranted, loved it. Can't thank him enough. Can't thank you all enough. It's been a great run over the past few months for this program. A lot of new viewers, a lot of new listeners. And we appreciate you all very, very much. Frankie, I told you you'd be out by 3. You could still make that lunch date.
And counting watching the clock the entire time.
I know, you're like, he said 3. He said 3.
What are you going to do with the rest of your afternoon?
Oh, Tuesdays are kind of like, a day, I usually go box a little bit. Couldn't do that today. Hope you all appreciate the sacrifices that
I didn't see you bring a lunch in. You're starving, huh?
I didn't eat anything. The nerves were a little high. Special show.
We couldn't tell.
One guest. Yeah. You felt like I was cool as a cucumber.
Certainly.
You thought I was nervous.
Yeah,
I had nervous
breaking
energy.
The fourth wall. You actually handled it really well. I could tell that this was a serious moment, but you weren't. Yeah, I've seen you more freaked out.
Really? Wow. I appreciate that. One of the most important shows in the history of the program. Maybe one of the biggest. I think the most watched live.
Definitely.
Right? I mean, what would you know?
From the new
been here
era.
A year and a half. We did have a couple big ones, but no, from the new era, of course. I mean, that goes without saying. Very exciting stuff. I live for these things. There's nothing that excites me more. If I could do this type of thing for the rest of my days, I would be the happiest man on the planet. And it's because of people like Francis Ngannou. It's because of the characters. It's because of the fighters who I have the utmost love, respect, and admiration for, and none more so than Francis Ngannou that I have that for, because this man has courage, this man has heart, determination, he has self-respect, he has everything that we want from our favorite athletes today. He bared his soul for all of us. I can't thank him enough. I can't appreciate him enough. I wish him nothing but the best. And I can't wait to see how this story unfolds. I appreciate you all very much. Back tomorrow, same time and place. Until then, we say peace. I'm out of here.